Hey everybody, how you doing? Hopefully you're having a great weekend. I'm going to put out a really quick video this weekend just to go through some opportunities I'm looking at for next week. So we'll start off here. This is SPY, the S&P 500 ETF. Been highlighting this $270 price area for the last few weeks. So this is an important area. That's where we had this gap down here in March, came back to retest it here in April. Price rejected that level, which corresponded with this downtrend line from the January highs. So that's a big area to watch. Longer term, we have kind of a descending triangle pattern we're working on here. So the bulls want to see this downtrend line, and more importantly, from my perspective, is this 270-ish area taken out. So uh, a positive last week is we didn't revisit the lows of this pattern. We kind of made what might be a higher low here, the middle of last week. So sometimes when it doesn't get all the way to the pattern boundary, that could be an indication that it's going to eventually break. Buyers maybe getting a little anxious, maybe a little bit more demand a little earlier. So you never know. Nothing's guaranteed, but bulls want to see this 270 area taken out. If it gets below, has a close or two below 255 to 260 range, that could be a caution sign and maybe potential longer term trend change. But don't want to get ahead of ourselves right now. We're just kind of stuck in this choppy market. It's been a tough market to trade. There's still some opportunities, but they've been a little harder to come by, or a lot harder to come by than last year. So hopefully we get some resolution. Like to see us get a push above that 270 level. That would be a bullish development. Here's QQQ. This is one I pointed out to TTP Trading members in a note Thursday night. After Facebook had that run, they kind of hit a point of resistance on their chart. So I was wondering, if we get a push up to 164.25, 164.50, what's going to happen? And that happened Friday morning, and then price it sold off pretty aggressively. So we have a lot of earnings coming out next week. Apple, most notably, is next Tuesday. So might get some resolution here. If we want to see this clear that 166, 167 area, that would be bullish in QQQ. If it stays below this 164, 163 area, might be a little trouble there, but we'll see what happens next week. Couple opportunities I like. EVH, this is one I talked about last week. The 1650 area was a big level. Even going back longer term, it's kind of just consolidating right there. So looking for a little pop here. I'm actually long this one already. You have your defined risk. If it gets below that, yellow box, it's not as attractive on the long side. So you can get out if it's below that. But I like this chart. Another one I like is IOSP. This has your area here around $74. You could see clearly here it was resistance here, resistance here, resistance here. Broke above it, but never really got running. It's just kind of consolidating above that level. So looking for this one to get a run. We do have earnings coming up on both of those soon, so we'll be keeping an eye on those. GE, this thing's been a dog for a long time, but maybe waking up here finally. I'm sure many have thought that before and been wrong, but could be wrong this time as well. But we do have a defined risk area to trade against here, this $14 level. It's in a big downtrend. That 14-ish level marked support here. It was resistance here. It was resistance here. Had that earnings gap. Filled that gap, and now it's trading just above it. So if we were looking to go long this via buying the stock or options, if it gets below 14, I don't think I'd want much to do with it anymore. But it has that potential there. So we have our defined risk, and we can get quite a run out of this one. I think my first target might be around this 1750 area where we had that consolidation from last fall and winter. So I do like this one quite a bit. Another way to trade this one would be as if it broke above this $15 or so range that has been resistance here. If you wanted to wait for that breakout, that would be a good area to trade against as well. So like the opportunity there. Visa broke out of a nice pattern here with their earnings. So we got that big gap up, closed Friday, kind of just consolidated within the previous day's range. So what I like about this one is it broke that pattern, and we have this horizontal level right here of about $125 to trade against. So I like the opportunity here. If it gets below that, it starts filling that gap. Would not like it quite as much, but if it holds this level, this one looks pretty good on the long side, in my opinion. Next couple, I pointed out to members of TTP Trading, a lot of opportunities in the apparel stores industry, a lot of nice charts there. I'll go through a couple here that I like. First one here is Destination Maternity. Now, this doesn't trade This only traded 88,000 shares, so it's not a heavily traded name. So keep that in mind. But this chart looks pretty nice here. We have this area, 275 or so, that was resistance, broke through it, and it kind of just gives a little shell consolidation. And Friday kind of perked up again. So that'd be a good area to trade against. You can put your stop just below that yellow box, maybe give it a little room, depends on how much room you like to give them. But I do like this setup here, and I think we can get a nice little run out of this one based on the chart. Most importantly, we have our risk defined. Ross Stores, this is another one. We got a horizontal level here now that we can trade off of. Broke above it Friday, this $80 or so range. I like this chart quite a bit. Another one here is Shoe Carnival, SCVL, another apparel store chart that I like. We had this, it's been consolidating these longer term gains, so it has this downtrend line from late last fall. And then in addition, we have a horizontal level to trade against as well. So if it breaks above this, you can see here it was support, broke below it, resistance, kind of chopped around it, kind of a resistance area. So if we can get definitively above that, 25 or so area, this would have a nice long trade potential in my opinion. Last one is PLCE, Children's Place. I'll go to the weekly chart of this one. It's a really clean, had this area here, $124, $125. It was resistance here and here. You can see it broke above it, came back to retest, bounced off it here, the momentum's kind of waning on the downside. It's right at about the 200-day moving average a lot of traders look at. So here's the daily view. So this has nice long potential above that 125, 22 to $125 range. Another one I like in the apparel stores industry. So hopefully that gave you a few ideas for next week. A lot of earnings, like I said, so maybe we'll get some resolution. The big thing I'm watching here is SPY, SP500. Are we going to be able to break above this level? That would be very bullish in my opinion. Maybe we can get a nice run in May if that's the case. So hopefully you're having a great weekend, and take care. Thanks for watching.